So there, we've scanned the network and discovered all the system, ports, and services. But now it's time to scan for vulnerabilities. Vulnerability scan is one of the most important parts of a penetration test or ethical hacking. Vulnerability scanning is an inspection of the potential points of compromising on a computer or network to identify security holes. A vulnerability scan detects and classifies system weaknesses in computers, networks, and network devices and predicts the effectiveness of countermeasures. So let's think about the term vulnerability first. I want to show you two vulnerability definitions from two important documents. The first document, ISO 27005, is the name of the Prime 27000 series standard covering information security risk management. The standard provides guidelines for information security risk management, ISRM, in an organization, specifically supporting the requirements of an information security management system defined by ISO 27001. So according to ISO 27005, vulnerability is a weakness of an asset or group of assets that can be exploited by one or more threats. The second document is published by NIST. That's the National Institute of Standards and Technology. NIST is a measurement standards laboratory and a non-regulatory agency of the United States Department of Commerce. Its mission is to promote innovation and industrial competitiveness. NIST has very good guides about cybersecurity, so if you're cybersecurity personnel, you should definitely keep your eyes on NIST. So according to NIST, vulnerability is a flaw or weakness in a system, security procedures, design, implementation, or internal controls that could be exercised, accidentally triggered, or intentionally exploited, and result in a security breach or a violation of the system's security policy. Let's see the basic vulnerability detection methods. By looking at an application's banner information, or by obtaining version information of the application, it is possible to know about potential weaknesses in that application. The weaknesses found in certain versions of the applications are detected over time, and this information is collected in vulnerability databases. By looking at these databases, you may have information about whether there is a weakness in that application. Now, protocols used by the application in communication with a client may have vulnerabilities. In this case, the application can be exploited. A weak encryption algorithm in communication is an example. The vulnerability scanners send different types of packets over the network. It examines the behavior of the service against these packets and examines whether these behaviors are similar to the behaviors of the vulnerable services. Wrong configurations may cause the vulnerabilities and weaknesses. For example, if you configure your web application's authentication mechanism to allow 3-character passwords, it can very easily be cracked by attackers. A vulnerability scanner is a software program designed to assess computers, computer systems, networks, or applications for known weaknesses. In plain words, these scanners are used to discover the weak points or poorly constructed parts. It's utilized for the identification and detection of vulnerabilities relating to misconfigured assets or flawed software that resides on a network-based asset such as firewall, a router, web server, application server, etc. There are a lot of vulnerability scanners. Some of them are listed in this slide. We have seen Nmap in previous lectures as a network scanner, and we also learned that with the help of Nmap scripting engine, NSE, it's possible to use Nmap as a simple vulnerability scanner. Nessus is one of the most popular and capable vulnerability scanners. We'll see it in detail in the next lecture. Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer provides a streamlined method to identify missing security updates and common security misconfigurations. It's only for Microsoft systems, and we have to say that it's not an overall vulnerability scanner at all. But no matter what, if you have Windows systems in your network, it would be better if you used Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer. Nexpose is a commercial tool developed by Rapid7, which are the producers of Metasploit framework. It is a vulnerability scanner which aims to support the entire vulnerability management lifecycle, including discovery, detection, verification, risk classification, impact analysis, reporting, and mitigation. It integrates with Metasploit for vulnerability exploitation. OpenVAS is an open-source vulnerability scanner that was forked from the last free version of Nessus after that tool went proprietary in 2005. Saint is a commercial vulnerability assessment tool. Like Nessus, it used to be free and open source, but is now a commercial product. Unlike Nexpose and QualisGuard, Saint runs on Linux and Mac OS X. In fact, Saint is one of the few scanner vendors that don't support or run on Windows at all. GFI LandGuard is a network security and vulnerability scanner designed to help with patch management, network and software audits, and vulnerability assessments. The price is based on the number of IP addresses you wish to scan. A free trial version up to 5 IP addresses is available. QualisGuard is a popular code-based SAS, software as a service, vulnerability management offering. Its web-based UI offers network discovery and mapping, asset prioritization, vulnerability assessment reporting, and remediation tracking according to business risk. Secunia PSI, Personal Software Inspector, is a free security tool designed to detect vulnerable and outdated programs and plugins that expose your PC to attacks. Attacks exploiting vulnerable programs and plugins are rarely blocked by traditional antivirus programs. Secunia PSI checks only the machine it is running on, while its commercial sibling, Secunia CSI, Corporate Software Inspector, I know what you TV fans are thinking. Anyway, that scans on multiple machines on a network. So, a vulnerability database is a platform aimed at collecting, maintaining, and disseminating information about discovered vulnerabilities targeting real computer systems. The database will customarily describe the identified vulnerability, assess the potential infliction on computer systems, and the workaround required to desist a hacker. Now, here are the most known vulnerability databases. Open-sourced Vulnerability Database, OSVBD, was an independent and open-source database. The goal of the project was to provide accurate, detailed, current, and unbiased technical information on security vulnerabilities. The project promoted greater and more open collaboration between companies and individuals. The project was started in August 2002 at the Black Hat and DEF CON conferences by several industry notables. On the 5th of April, 2016, the database was shut down, although the blog will continue. The National Vulnerability Database is the U.S. government repository of standards-based vulnerability management data represented using the Security Content Automation Protocol, SCAP. This data enables automation of vulnerability management, as well as security measurement and compliance. NVD includes databases of security checklists, security-related software flaws, misconfigurations, product names, and impact metrics. CVEdetails.com is a free CVE security vulnerability database information source. You can view CVE vulnerability details, exploits, references, Metasploit modules, a full list of vulnerable products, and CVSS score reports, and vulnerability trends over time. CVE, Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, is the system that provides a reference method for publicly known information security vulnerabilities and exposures. So let's have a look at Nessus. Developed by Tenable Network Security, is one of the most popular and capable vulnerability scanners. Nessus Professional is a commercial product. In addition, a free Nessus Home version is also available, though it's limited and only licensed for home network use. Nessus allows scans for the following types of vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities that allow a remote hacker to control or access sensitive data on a system. misconfiguration, for example, open mail relay, missing patches, etc., default passwords, a few common passwords, and blank or absent passwords on some system accounts. Nessus can also call Hydra, an external tool, to launch a dictionary attack. Denials of service against the TCP/IP stack by using malformed packets, and preparation for PCI DSS audits. Now, in a typical operation, Nessus begins by doing a port scan to determine which ports are open on the target, and then tries various exploits on the open ports. The vulnerability tests, available as subscriptions, are written in NASL, Nessus Attack Scripting Language, a scripting language optimized for custom network interaction. Nessus is constantly updated, with more than 70,000 plugins. Key features include remote and local authenticated security checks, a client-server architecture with a web-based interface, and an embedded scripting language for writing your own plugins or understanding the existing ones. Optionally, the results of the scan can be reported in various formats, such as plain text, XML, HTML, and LaTeX. Now, Nessus is not embedded into Kali, so let's download it to install and use in our Kali. Open the browser and search for Nessus Home Download in Google. I think you already know that Nessus Home is the name of the free version of Nessus. So discard the ads. The first link is Tenable's Nessus homepage. We need an activation code to use Nessus Home, and we have to register for an activation code. So you'd better register with your exact names and email addresses. Since I have previous registrations, I'd like to register with a public name and mail address. Ethical Hacker is the name and surname. ethichack@yopmail.com. Click register when you're okay. Now the next page is where you can find the download link for Nessus Home. The page says that an email containing my activation code has been sent to my email address. So let's open a new tab and look to see if we've got the activation code. I go to yopmail.com/ethichack, which is the URL address of ethichack@yopmail.com email address. And here's the email with the activation code. Now go back to the homepage of Nessus and click Download. Here's a list of the binaries of Nessus Home. Our Kali is a 64-bit Debian, so I'm going to click and download this one. And save the file. Now let's install the packet that we downloaded. I go back to the browser to see the location to where the file has been downloaded. It's downloaded in the Downloads folder. Now open a terminal screen and go to the folder using cd command. To install the packet, use dpkg Linux command with iparameter. And last, type the file name. Remember, you can use the tab key to complete the file name and hit enter. The installation is completed within a few seconds. Now let's look at the messages. It says we should start the Nessus D daemon to start Nessus Home. And then we can connect to the web interface of Nessus, which will be served at port 8834. This is the default port of Nessus Home's interface. So use the service command to start the Nessus D daemon. First, I want to look at its status. It's inactive at the moment. Type service Nessus D start to start Nessus D daemon. Now, let's look at the ports of our Kali, which happen to be in listen mode. Use the netstat command with TNLP parameters. And here it is. Port 8834 is being listened to by Nessus D. Now we can access Nessus Home's web interface. So go to the browser and type 127.0.0.1:8843 and hit enter. As you know, 127.0.0.1 stands for the local host. You can use the IP address of your Kali instead. It doesn't matter. Whoops. Nessus service is an HTTPS service. So we have to use HTTPS at the beginning of our URL. So our browser says that the connection is not secure because the local certificate of Nessus is not registered by a CA, a certificate authority. No worries, click Advanced and then Add Exception and click Confirm Security Exception. And here's the first interaction with Nessus Home's web interface. So the next step is to set up Nessus Home. First step is to create an account. Select a username for yourself and add a password. Click Continue. The next screen asks the scanner type and the activation code, which has been sent to our email address while we were downloading the Nessus Home's installation packet. Here are the scanner types. We'll use Nessus Home, so leave the first option selected. Now I go to the email sent by Nessus and copy the activation code and paste it into the related field. Then click Continue. As soon as setup is complete, Nessus downloads and initiates the latest plugins, which will be used in the scans by Nessus. First, it downloads the plugins according to your connection speed. Now, it may take a few minutes, so be patient. Now it's compiling the plugin. This step may take longer than the download step, so you might want to go and grab yourself a cup of coffee. And there it is. The initialization phase is complete. Welcome to the Nessus interface.